Today I'm with Mayor Nancy Kabulian, who's a member of the Ardsley Story Quilt. She's also the mayor of Ardsley, and she helped getting the Story Quilt started in the beginning in 2023. So I have a few questions for her today, and my first one is, can you share a little bit about your background and what inspired you to start creating art or joining the Story Quilt?
Oh, hi. Well, thank you for interviewing me. The Story Quilt is a really amazing project that we're doing with the Ardsley Multicultural and Diversity Committee. Um, I, I am not an artist. I am not a creator of art. I do have hobbies like knitting and crocheting and things like that. But the idea of the Story Quilt was really Sonia Samad's idea to bring that. And she actually brought it to the village a couple of years ago, and then COVID hit, and there was a little, we couldn't get it off the ground. But I like crafting, I liked knitting, I like crocheting. So the idea of putting something together that sort of represented us as a village was really appealing to me. So the minute she brought it to me, I was on board 100%.
What would you say were some of the biggest challenges in getting the quilt started and introducing the idea to the town?
Well, I don't think the challenge was getting the quilt started. I think the challenge actually is more getting the quilt finished. So, and one of the reasons we had so much interest and so many people really wanted to express themselves in this quilt, but it's a handmade item, so people worked on it when they could work on it. So we had time periods where we wanted to have the squares finished. That didn't happen, and so we kept extending it. So it, and then you had to get people back together, and sometimes we could only get a few, and not everybody. So it was sort of, the issue really came in was logistics. And now that we have all the squares together, we encountered some little other issues, like not all of them were the same size, and some of them, when they were sewn, they pulled on the material, so we had to iron them and re-iron them to make sure that they were flat. But we are at a point now where they are actually all sewn onto the background. And this process is taking a little bit longer. So it will be finished, and I think it will be finished by the end of this week, but it has taken a little bit longer than we thought it would.
How long would you say it takes like each quilt to be made?
For this quilt, I think we're on about 15 months now, since our first meeting about it. So it's about 15 months. But remember, people had to design their square. They had to work on it when they could. We came back together. We talked about it. We had, group meetings where we talked about what the squares meant to each people, each of the people that were making them. So while it took 15 months, I think a lot of friendships have been made.
Yeah.
I think there is a desire to continue with some kind of crafting group in the village. So it's created a whole different, excuse me, it's created a whole different life of its own.
Yeah. So.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. What would you say inspired you to join the Ardsley Story Quilt?
Oh, I mean, I think I like crafting, I like sewing, and I like doing those things, but I think that this quilt will be something that is representative of the village for many years to come. And it was exciting to me to have a product where we really represent who we are, and the Multicultural Committee. The Multicultural Committee does so many things, so many events, and people come and they learn and they have a good time. But this quilt is something that's going to be very long lasting, and Ardsley has a history of quilts.
Yeah.
So there have been other quilts over the years, the pickle quilt and the signature quilt, and I think that this is just the time for another quilt that's representing Ardsley as we stand today and as we move forward.
Mm-hmm. So I guess you kind of answered the next question, but how has the Artsy Story Quilt impacted you as an individual and also the community?
Well, as I said, I mean, we started this project, and as we do many projects, I get to meet a lot of people. But because this was a 15 or 16-month project where, sometimes we met 2 or 3 times a week, like we're meeting 2 or 3 times a week this week to sew it all together, I've gotten to know people. We've been to each other's homes to do this. Really, I think friendships have created, and there's so many talented people in the village and in the school district where they want to display their talent and work with each other, and it's really community building when you sit around and you're creating something together. And I think this project has really created something in this village that's very unique.
Yeah. Thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Well, thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it.